One of the toughest things that we have to learn in life is the fact that sometimes plans that we have don't work out. And I don't know the exact wording, but the phrase is that it's not so much what happens to you, but your reaction to it that makes, a difference. And it's true. I mean, we live in a world where we have a lot of people that just have a victim mentality. Something's always happening to them, happening to them, happening to them. And they got it all twisted. It's not so much what happens to you because life is going to happen regardless. Sometimes we're responsible for these things that happen, but sometimes there are things that are totally unexpected that we did not solicit. So our reaction to it, sometimes it could be a test of strength. It could be a training for you, a spiritual training for you. So that way, when you come across something that you're highly responsible for, you can go back to that experience and remember how to deal with it. Well, let me give you a case in point where, this is a classic case of someone's plans kind of going haywire. A gentleman called me not too long ago. He's a friend of a friend. And he's been working for a company in the area for over 30 years. He's got about 6 years left before he's due to retire. Nice gentleman, very friendly, a lot of customers and everything like him. He's punctual, he does his job all the time. And he was telling me because, he's seen me from time to time. And finally, I went to the business one day to talk to him and see how he was doing, and I could just kind of sense that something wasn't right. And he said, "Let me ask you something." I said, "What's that?" He said, "I don't think I'm going to be retiring within the next 5 to 7 years. I'm going to have to tack on another 5 years for that." And I said, "Well, why?" I said, "What's going on?" I said, "I thought you had a plan as to what you were going to do when you got off." I said, "You used to tell me all the time what you were going to do, how you were going to travel, and you were going to join the classic car club and do all these different things, get together with your, old military buddies and hang out and stuff like that. You had your retirement pretty much planned." He has 2 grown children. One is married, one is not. Both of the children have children. And the one who's married has a home of his own and everything and taking care of his kids. But due to the world situation last year, the girl who's never been married, but she has 2 children. The one job that she did have, she lost it because of the world situation and had to move in with him. And I think she's 32 years old. 2 small children, both of them in elementary school. So, okay, you're a father, you're doing your duty. Well, the world situation occurred over a year ago. And even though, the economy is still struggling a little bit, there's still options for, jobs to be available because last year this time there was hardly anything available. So, people are starting to get out and they're starting to try. Some people started building businesses and decided to do that. And so they're making a way. And the thing is, it's been over a whole year and this woman has not made any strides whatsoever, made any efforts whatsoever to try to find a decent place for her and her children. Had made no effort to try to find a job or source of income or anything. She's in the same mind frame that she was when she came in this front door, looking pitiful, looking for daddy to save her. And now he's starting to get a little depressed because he doesn't know what to do. He's like, I just paid the house off. He said, my cars are paid for. He said, I'm getting up this little nest egg. I'm getting ready to retire. I'm going to have a package. And he said, and I just wanted to enjoy the rest of my life. He said, I got a couple of physical conditions, but, I'm take my medicine and do what I need to do. So, I'm able to live. And now I'm sitting up here looking at this situation with my unmarried daughter and these 2 children and this small. He said, we're talking about at least another 5 to 10 years of me having to support another family. And he said, and I'm not trying to be funny or anything. He said, I'm a father and I love her. And he said, they're my grandchildren and I love them. They love them some Pop Pop. But, Pop had kind of had plans of his own. And it's really gotten bad recently because she's literally taken over the house. He said she has taken over the house and rearranged the whole place and everything. It's like she's running the whole house. She's just stepped in as a substitute wife or whatever the case is. I said, wow. I said, that's a lot. I said, when you talk to her about her potential plans, what did she say? And he says she just kind of skips around the whole thing. He says she never talks about any plans directly. He said, at least you could do is get a job or something. He says, so what the bills are paid? We don't have a rent or mortgage. So what the cars are paid for? That doesn't mean that you shouldn't contribute to what's going on in here, because I still have utility bills that I have to pay every month. I still have insurance, property taxes. You mean tell me you can't do anything? And see, now that the kids are starting to go back to school, and they're starting to get engaged in different things, then there's no reason to sit up in the house all the time. And I said, well, does she have a spiritual relationship, like a counselor or the church she belongs to? I said, maybe she's kind of depressed, because there are a lot of people, because of the world situation, they've gone to depression and they've had to seek therapy in order to kind of bring themselves out of that state that they were in. And I said, I know this situation's not over with as far as the world thing, but I said, we're coming around slowly but surely. There's a lot of adjustments that have to be made. He said, no, she just kind of talks around that too. And he said, now she's got the mentality where she figures that I need her because I'm getting older. And recently the whole conversation has been about how I'm getting older and how you need to have a woman around. He said, but my thing is, he said, when I go on dates and try to have women around, she run them off. I said, oh, okay. I said, I think I'm beginning to understand what's going on here. And he said, well, will you please tell me? I said, I don't know. I said, let me think about this. I said, because what I have on my mind, I said, you might not like what I'm going to say. I said, so let me just get back to you. Now, that was a couple of days ago, and I'm still thinking about how to approach this. I say this to say this. I mentioned before in a video on my YouTube channel, I think it's called Everyone's Not the Ones to Blame, in regards to children kind of putting all of their responsibilities on parents for every single little thing that goes on in their lives. And I said that, the day that you were born, your parents' lives didn't begin on the day that you were born. Your life began on the day that you were born. Your parents had lives before you came along. They had to have. And some people, when they get grown and they see their parents are aging, they automatically assume, okay, well, I got to get into this mind frame. I got to take care of them. Okay, when the time comes and they're incapacitated, that's fine. But there are some people, when they get themselves into a situation where they're not financially stable, they'll fabricate in their mind and they'll over-exaggerate the fact that their parent is getting older and try to create this scenario in their minds that their parents actually need them constantly, and that's not the case. It's just really weird. I've come across a couple of people. I know a couple of gentlemen that are taking care of parents that are up in age, and even though they do have certain conditions, these parents don't need them there all the time, But they come up with this idea. And the only reasons that I could think of, most of the time, these people that are doing this, they're not financially sound. They're not. They either don't have a job, don't have a place to stay, they don't have any savings. It has something to do with finances as to why they create the scenario to justify why why they moved in on their parents, or why they never left their parents. I know a couple of people that have never left home before. Never. And now that their parents are aging and require attention, now they'll turn around and say, oh, well, I can't go now because, they need me. See? You see where this is going? And it's a shame, because some of them are actually doing it for financial reasons, because they're figuring, you know what, mama's got this problem, daddy's got this problem, da, 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 da. So, if I just sit here and take care of them, then, when they pass away, this will all be mine. And I know it's a cold-blooded thing to say, but it's the truth. And some people are actually going through the whole motions. And then when it's all done and over with, the family can't dispute it, because they're like, okay, well, they were there the whole time and they were with mama and blah, blah, blah. But, karma comes back and gets them later on, because a lot of people wind up losing their inheritances because when they get this property and get these homes and everything, because they were never on their own and because they were never been financially responsible, they wind up losing that property because they never had that responsibility of taking care of it. Do something silly like let the taxes go, or don't maintain the inspections or the permits on them. Just little silly things that, you and I would already know that's required to take care of a property. But because they never been exposed to it or had that responsibility, they wind up losing it. And that's what happens in a lot of cases. Then the state would take over and it's sold for pennies at auction. It's just a terrible situation. But yeah, I mean, and this is a nice looking man, he's God-fearing, hardworking, and everything else. But I mean, it's really starting to bug him with that. He's like, he has no privacy with his daughter, and he just doesn't know what to do. And so, I think the only thing that I could tell him to do is that she needs to come up with an exit plan, or start to actively, if there's anybody that he's really interested in, start spending less time at home, or bringing them around more often. And when she sees that attention is not given to her as much, then she'll realize that she needs to go along her merry way. And I know this sounds cold-blooded, because I know people are parents until the end. I get that, but in the animal kingdoms they get it straight. When they get grown, it's time for them to go off and do your own thing. And there's nothing wrong with a temporary setback every now and then, but it's temporary. Don't use it to your advantage. Don't take advantage. So if some of you are grown and you're home with your parents because of financial situations and whatnot, and your parents are able-bodied somewhat, and they're still trying to live their life, create an exit plan. Make your parents proud. Make them proud of the fact that, okay, they had to stay with me for a little while, but boy, I tell you, that's a tough little girl right there. She said, she said, I got to get my own space. Make your parents proud. Be independent. Make them proud of you. That's all I got to say on that.